right, guys, welcome to today's FFL Limitless team call. We are 2 weeks into the month of February in terms of issue pay. Just wrapped up submit for issue or for the month of February, and now it is day 1 of March. And so just went through a bunch of exciting announcements with carriers, with bonuses, new product features, etc. And now we're going to have our special guest, Mr. Julius Gilgur, on the call. Some background for you guys that may not be with our company, or maybe you're brand new and don't know or haven't met Julius yet. Julius has been in the business for a couple of years. He's been in sales and business for a long time. And one of the most impressive things about Julius is he wasn't only a one-time Hall of Fame producer, but a 2-time Hall of Fame producer while building an agency. He's going to talk today about adding on sales, quality, and persistency, and really creating a long-term business plan to grow a massive business that'll stick around for decades and be rock solid. So Julius, thanks for getting on. How are you?
I'm good, brother. Thanks for having me on. Always an honor to get on here and share with others the things that I've learned during my career. So blessed to be on.
Awesome. So Julius, let's start out just a quick background, how long you've been in the business, how long you've been with FFL, and then we'll kind of get into questions from there.
Yeah, so I got my license in 2016. I've been with Family First Life now for about 4 years. And I actually fell into this industry because I was in corporate America, working kind of like a senior leadership and sales role. And then after 5 years of working at a company, being loyal, doing everything, never, really never having any problem being an elite employee, if you will. Sure. I just got let go, right? Company was part of an acquisition and merger, got let go, found myself as a single father, being unemployed, no income. And I'm like, what do I do? And I had my license and I decided to go full time. I started with a different organization in the industry, and that business model led me to work a lot of hours but not make a lot of money. And so then I found Family First Life in 2018, and like most people, I thought it was too good to be true. I'm like, this just sounds
me too
good. Like it just really does. And I'm like, but I have to try it to see for myself, because for me it was hearing from the people, seeing the leaderboards. And I'm like, well, if these people can do it, I'm pretty certain I can at least do a portion of that and make more money than I'm making today. And so that's how I got into the business. And it's been the biggest blessing in my life and in my career.
Amazing. And in your best year ever in terms of personal production and Families Protected, what did that look like?
Over 500 in a year. 500.
Nice.
Yeah, over 500.
That's a big deal, guys. That's issue pay. That's not submitted. That's business that goes through. The clients, keep and have coverage when something happens is a big deal. And also you've been building a team. You've probably coached hundreds of agents over the last couple of years, helping them, become Hall of Fame producers, getting their logo, VP, or, those people that are part-time, just trying to make a few extra bucks at nights or on the weekend. Talk to us about that. How has it been coaching? What do you enjoy about recruiting new agents and training them?
Yeah, it's interesting, Hayden, because like when I first started, I was actually scared to recruit, and the reason why I was scared to recruit was because I didn't feel like I was ready. And I think most new agents, they kind of feel like that, right? Sure. The reality is you're further ahead, or we're further ahead than the new person, even if we're in the business for 90 days, right? We've learned a bunch of stuff that new agents don't know. But now having, multiple years of experience, having, some success here, it allows me to train agents with confidence that when I bring them on, I know we have a platform and a system and a business where whether they're part-time or full-time, they can come in, they can literally duplicate what we do, say what we say, use our tools and resources, and go out there, and whether they want to supplement their income or completely have a career change, that we have a platform that they can thrive in if they do the work, right? And I think that's the key thing, right? There's a lot of people that want to come in and want to make a ton of money and want to be successful, but there's a difference between wanting to do it and actually putting in the work. And that's, that's the biggest key, I think.
Sure. I think with new agents and most agents, Julius, one of the biggest things in terms of getting them from wanting to do it to doing it is really just taking action. But it really comes down to leads and seeing clients. Can you talk about your journey in terms of, leads and how that's ramped up? And, for me, it was never possible to be a Hall of Fame producer if I wasn't spending at least, $1,000-$1,200 a week consistently. So talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really no different for me, man. I came into this business with not a lot of money left in my account. Working at the company I worked at before, I was bleeding money. I was literally going through my savings, going through my just everything that I've had accumulated and trying to figure it out, make it work. And so when I came here, I had low belief. I had low, I didn't have a lot of money saved up. And so I started like most people start, a few $100 in my first lead investment, right? I think it was like $500. And at the time we didn't have the lead sources that we have today, the lead options.
Yeah.
I was primarily Facebook leads, right? Facebook final expense is all I had for, I would say, the first 4 or 5 months, right? And so I was just buying, when I first started, I was buying leads once every other week, maybe, right? And partly because my belief level was low and I had a scarcity mindset, right? And even though I had experience in the industry, I wasn't sure that I can actually produce off of leads, because in our old business model, we didn't have that. So coming in here, even making a few sales, it took me months, Hayden, to actually get the belief level up to the point where, like, okay, I know if I buy leads today, I can make sales this week and have deposits coming back to me within a few days, within a week. And now I've received a return on my investment. So my journey started out with buying leads every other week or so, trying to, work those leads as good as I can and make as much as I can and really just resolve every lead, is what, you hear people say. But what I've really found, guys, is that having an abundance of leads really works in your favor, because now you have more options, right? You have more people to talk to, you have more appointments to set. And for the first 3 years in this business, Hayden, I've been in the field, right? So I literally was out door to door, meeting people at their kitchen table, doing business for over 3 years. Right. And so I had to gradually ramp up my lead investment. And I think there was 2 key things that helped me become a Hall of Fame producer over time and helped me increase my production. Number one, it was literally increasing my lead purchases. Okay. Going from 500 to 1,000 a week, going from, 500 every other week to 500 a week, to then eventually raising it to 1,000 a week, to then eventually raising it up even higher to averaging about 1,500 to 2,000, which is where I'm at today.
Yep.
But the real big thing for me, Hayden, and what I've seen that's really helped a lot of people excel, is automating their lead flow. See, I think a lot of times, and this happened for me, is when I didn't automate my lead flow, I would make my lead purchase based on emotion. Oh, I have so much money in my account, or, oh, I don't know, like whatever was going on in my head.
Yeah, a great point.
Made me not purchase leads or not take the action right there and then. But as soon as I automated my lead flow, emotion is out of it. Leads are coming in every day, every week. And now it forced me to go to work. And as soon as I was forced to go to work, dude, my production went through the roof. And then all of a sudden I'm hitting Hall of Fame. And I'm like, how did I do it? And looking back, it was all about lead automation and lead flow.
Yeah. So guys, if you're new or you don't understand exactly what he's saying, one, if you have the discipline to do that, and buy leads every single week, every single day, that's fantastic. What Julius is talking about in terms of lead automation, he's talking about things like the internet, campaigns that you set up where the leads are just coming in. He's talking about, Facebook final expense leads that are just coming in. He's talking about direct mail final expense, direct mail mortgage. And then more recently with us, he's talking about live transfers. I remember when I first started doing live transfers, and the first couple of days, I wasn't ready to work, or I had other calls and I wasn't scheduled and organized. And I'm like, dang, I just missed like 3 or 4 calls and they all charged me. I better get organized. And then once I did it, I love that. I was the same way, man. Like when Nina was like, hey, you should start automating some of your lead flow, I was scared to death, but it made it way easier. And the thing is, once you buy those leads and they come in, no one doesn't work them. It's way easier to not work when you don't have leads. But when you pay for a lead, no matter how many it is, most people are going to work. They ain't going to waste the money. And so that's a hack, guys. That's a really good point Julius just made. Write that down. And, it doesn't mean your whole lead flow has to be automated right away, but I would look at adding in one or two of those sources to get yourself uncomfortable and get yourself more leads coming in. So, Julius, next, you've gotten amazing at collecting referrals. We were talking yesterday, and you had a couple of deals this week just off, people, past clients, people on social media just hitting you up to get some coverage. Can you talk about referrals and building this smart where we're not trying to buy a lead and sell a lead today, and that one-time sale and renewals we get for the next 10 years, that's all we get. We want to build something where we can tack on every couple of years, or they say, hey, here's my mom, here's my dad, here's my friend, they want coverage. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, in full transparency, I'm not the best at getting referrals. And I say that with the premise of like, you don't have to be great at getting referrals if you do your job right. Right. And what I mean by that is we're in a service business. So I pride myself on servicing my clients properly, effectively, efficiently. Right. And so where if they need something, they can call me. They know that I'm the insurance guy, right? So when I help people, whether it's from a lead or from someone I know, their experience with me is top notch, right? They're getting follow-up calls, they're getting emails, they're getting communication, right? There is little to no, like I leave nothing unturned to make sure that when I'm working with someone, they know that they're dealing with a professional. So that way they know, like the guy that I got, the few referrals I got this week were from people that I helped a few weeks ago. And literally, I never asked them for referrals, but because I treated them great, I serviced them, and anything that they needed moving forward. Now, anytime they have someone who needs insurance, they're like, oh, I got a guy for you, right? So now I'm that person's guy, or the people that I've worked with, right? So it's not so much, and I do still ask for referrals, Hayden, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But it's more so when you do your job right and you service people, and people can feel that, right? People know when you're a professional and you're giving them good service, right? Like if you go to a restaurant, Hayden, and someone gives you good service, and you go and someone asks you, how was that restaurant? You're going to remember the service, and you're going to refer people like, hey, dude, you should go check that restaurant out, right?
Sure.
All day. And if you had good service and you had a good server, you're like, hey, you should sit with, Bob over there. He'll take care of you. He's good. It's the same deal, right? So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, guys. And in our business, right, there's a ton of agents, right? But how do you separate yourself, right? Are you showing up? Are you following up? Are you a professional? And are you doing what you need to do to really help people? Versus just try to make a quick sale, right? Like this isn't just a quick sale business. This is a long-term thing. And if you treat clients as relationships, not just as a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I just made some money, I'll never talk to you again, they'll understand that, they'll feel that, and they'll send you clients. And so that's how I've gotten a ton of my referrals.
I love that. And guys, if you're trying to build a business and recruit agents and build an agency, what Julius just talked about also totally translates to the recruiting and building side, and is being a professional. It's, hey, when people go look you up on social media, what does your page look like? Are you consistent? Are you posting every day? Do you look like someone that they would want to work with, that they can trust? And so sometimes, like Julius said, it's not even asking. It's not about asking for them. It's about being so good and looking so good that the people just are drawn to you, and they want to use your services. They want to work with you. So.
And I think that the key thing you said in all that, Hayden, is consistency, right? Because here's the thing, like in the beginning, I wasn't getting referrals. I wasn't, right? Because I was new to the business. So if you're new and you're asking for referrals and you're getting, that's great. But if you're hoping people are going to pass them on in kind of the approach that I'm talking about, just through service, that's more of a long game approach. That's, hey, I know this guy, he's consistent. He's been doing it for years. He's great. He gives you great service. That's how you get that long, you get a bunch of referrals over a long period of time, and they just keep coming in.
Yeah, I love that. Next, some people ask some questions about annuities and IULs. You've gotten really good at adding, 100, 200 families a year issue pay by adding on things like annuities and IULs. Can you speak on that, and also speak on, how you set those up from just a regular life insurance appointment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all stems from asking the right questions, right? So for example, my most recent annuity sale came from a lead. Okay. Gentleman that was a mortgage protection lead. And we were talking, and first off, you got to find out, you got to find the money. One of the key things in doing annuities specifically is you have to find the money. So if you're not asking the golden question, you're never going to find the money. You're just literally leaving food on the table. If you don't know the golden question, it's this simple. You can write it down. Hey, Bob. Hey, Mary, what do you have that acts like life insurance where when you pass away, it will transfer? Okay. So what do you have that acts like life insurance that will transfer when you pass away? 401ks, IRAs, things like that. And they'll tell you, right? Now, in the beginning, Hayden, I got hung up, right? Because I was thinking I needed an exact dollar amount and I needed all this information. The problem is we haven't built enough rapport in the beginning when we're in the financial inventory to really get that information, because a lot of people are sensitive about it. Sure. So you just ask it in a very nonchalant way. All right, about how much have you accumulated in that account? About how much? Right. And if they're like, hey, I don't know, you got 100, you got 50, you got more. And then they'll tell you, I might have this. Okay, great. So now I found money, right? Then when you complete the financial inventory, it's really like, guys, our job is to service people, right? So, and we service people through finding a problem and then having a solution for that problem, right? And so this client was, he's 67, if I'm not mistaken. His main goal was to protect the mortgage for his wife. Now, his mortgage was in the low 300s. And if you guys have ever priced out a mortgage protection plan to pay off a mortgage of 300K for someone in their 60s, barring no medical issues, it's not the cheapest thing out there, right? It's going to be a few $100, could be even more, even close to the thousands, 4 figures. Well, for most people, financially, that doesn't make sense, right? So it's all about how you position and how you solve problems, right? So for this client specifically, I said, hey, instead of paying an additional monthly premium, what if we leverage your existing asset and put it into a safe money retirement program that'll stop the bleeding, so you don't have any more risk, you can still earn interest, and we eliminate your fees? Is that something that might make more sense? And then he's like, now it piqued his interest, right? So that's one way of doing it, where you can literally, instead of selling them an insurance product, you leverage their money to protect whatever they need to protect, whether it's final expenses, cremation, burial, etc. You literally are just leveraging their money. So now they're just, well, hey, I don't have to pay any money out of pocket every month. I'm just transferring it and I have the same effect. Bingo, golden, right? So that's one way. Another way is, you just talk about, guys, if you look at where we're at today, okay? Right now, everywhere in the news, they're talking about a recession. And if you ask a client, have you looked at your account lately? Most people are going to say either A, I don't like looking at it because I keep freaking losing money, or B, yes, it's bleeding money. I don't know what to do, right? And right now is the time to strike, because people are scared, people are worried, and they don't want to lose more money. And so it's literally, number one, asking the question, and then number two, being able to take the order properly. And when I say take the order properly, it's all in the setup. So in order for me to get annuities, Hayden, I took this in a two-step approach. Number one, I had to get good at finding money. I asked the question, I ask it every time. The second thing that I learned, and I learned this from people here at Family First Life, I'm like, okay, I found money, but I'm having trouble taking an order. How do I do that? And I want to teach you guys what I've learned, right? So it's all about the setup. So what I do when I'm in the financial inventory, and let's just say, Hayden, you said you got 300 grand, right? Now I'm here for whether it's final expense, mortgage protection, whatever. Once I find the money, I'm not going head on into the money, because people are not there for that. Okay. So what I do is I tease it and I'll say, hey, I'm like, have you looked at the market lately? Have you looked at how much you've lost? What's the status of your account? Just getting them to think, right? And then you're bringing out the emotion tied to their money. Then I'll say, okay, hey, Bob, if I can help you eliminate risk, eliminate any of the fees you have, while still earning interest. Is that something that you're interested to learn about? And that's it. It's a qualifying question, right? And the ones that say yes, I literally mark my financial inventory, and I'll put, I'll make a mark SMR. That's just my thing, just so I know to follow back up after the appointment for Safe Money retirement program, right? And then, so, okay, he says, yeah, I'd be interested to learn about that. And then I go, okay, great. Hey, listen, I don't have time for that today. That's not what we're here for. We're here for final expense or mortgage protection, whatever it is. When we're done, I'll circle back to that and we'll set up another time for that. Okay. Okay, great. Boom. They've expressed interest, right? So now what did I do? More or less, Hayden, I've created a lead by asking the question, are you interested? Now, if they say no, I'm not pushing on it, because I don't want to lose the sale that I'm there for, right? So once I know that, I finish my appointment. If I sell them some insurance, great. And then I'll circle back and set up a time to then take the order for the annuity. And the same thing on the IULs, guys. So like when you're looking for, when you're in the financial inventory and you ask them, hey, do you have anything set up, anything that would act like life insurance if you pass that'll transfer 401ks, IRAs? They're like, no. Okay, do you have anything set up for retirement? No. Okay, so would you be interested in learning about a product that can help you with your final expenses, help you with your mortgage protection, whatever, but also help you plan for the future for retirement? Is that something that you're interested in? Yes. Again, boom, I've qualified them because they've expressed interest, right? So now it's all about the setup, guys. If you're able to do that, now there's some interest. Now you can actually segue into that conversation without sounding like a salesperson, because you've asked a question and now you're just servicing them. And then you build it out from there, just depending on what makes sense, whether it's planning for retirement with an IUL or using annuities.
Yeah, no, that's great. Something I heard to add on at a convention that I picked up that I thought was really good is those clients that say, hey, I already have a ton of insurance, I'm not interested. Mm-hmm. Or, you know what, I think I'm going to hold off. I already have enough, insurance or enough coverage. Hey, perfect. You probably fit in the bucket of someone that's looking for safe money retirement solutions. And then you just go right into, you just pivot right over, use the other side of your license and pivot right into annuities and IUL. And you don't, you're not going to hassle them and keep on going. If they say no 2 or 3 times, you just pivot and try it that way. So I love that. Julius, can you talk about building for the long term? I think sometimes, a lot of the time, new agents come in, they see, what you can make on advance, they see the bonuses, they see, getting paid 1 to 2 days after. Can you talk about quality, and can you talk about building this thing the smart way so you're in the business for a long time and it's a career, it's not just a pit stop?
Yeah, and I think, that's the key, right? This is a career. This is not a pit stop, right? That's the biggest thing right there, Hayden. And coming into this, I knew that I can make a career in this industry, but I couldn't find the right model until I found Family First Life, right? And I think when you guys are joining this business, you have to look at it with the long game in mind, right? Now, there's activities that will give us instant gratification, like making a sale. Okay. But when we're talking about building a business, when we're talking about recruiting, building an agency, building something that's going to be substantial, that will last you years, decades, if not being able to pass a legacy to your family, right? Now we're talking long game. And so, I like to use analogies a lot, Hayden, right? If someone starts working out today, right? But they want a 6-pack. They're not going to get a 6-pack after 1 day of working out. You know what I mean? They're not going to get muscles after a 1 day of working out, right? It's the long game. It's sacrificing what you want to do today for the long-term results. So, for me, it's building, right? It's recruiting, it's having conversations, it's finding the right people. When you're talking about quality, Hayden, it's, sometimes you don't put in that app that's going to charge back, right? Because look, at the end of the day, guys, we can all make people in a nice way submit a policy. Sure. But what's the value if they cancel a few days later? There's nothing, There's zero value, right? So one of the things that I do to keep my quality up, if I see someone on the fence and they're like, oh, let me think about it. Yeah, let's see if I can get approved, whatever. I ask this question, and I learned this from Sean Mike, because I was having a quality issue back in the day. I was writing a bunch of business and then they were charging off, and my quality fell. And I was like, dude, what is going on? My money's being impacted. Like, I can't live like this, right? And so if you ask this question, it will help you with your quality. So I'd say, hey, Bob, if we get you approved exactly the way we're applying, is there any reason you wouldn't keep it? And I put them on the spot. And if they say, well, I mean, yeah, if I get it approved like this, yeah, but if it changes, I might not. Well, no, Bob, if it's exactly how we're applying, there's no changes to the dollar, to the penny, the coverage, is there any reason you wouldn't keep it? If they're him-hawing, I'm not sure, let me see, let me think about it. Dude, I'm not submitting that app.
Yep.
I'm not submitting the app because, guys, at the end of the day, if you have bad quality, these carriers can terminate you, right? And I'd rather keep a positive relationship with my carrier than just getting a few bucks for a policy I wrote for then me just to charge, pay it back a few days later, right? So that's one question that I asked there. So if you're having a quality issue, guys, ask that question. It will save you a ton of headache. Hey, Bob, if we submit this and it comes back approved exactly as we're applying, is there any reason you wouldn't keep that? Okay. Because at the end of the day, if they don't pay, it doesn't do us any good. So that's the quality thing. And then, the long-term, kind of going back to that, Hayden, it's really just about finding the right people to partner with, making sure you're pouring into people, matching their effort. A lot of people will come in here, and I'm sure you've seen this. They want every ounce drop of you. They want your time. They want your energy. They want all your knowledge, but they're not doing what they need to do on their side, right? So for me, it's making sure that the people that I am working with are doing their part. I'm matching their effort. And I tell them, like, hey, you give this thing 100%, I'm going to give you 100% of me. You call me anytime, text me anytime. We can get on a Zoom. We can do whatever we need to do to get you going. But at the end of the day, Hayden, it's when I got into this, man, I didn't get into it for a year. Like, this isn't, and you guys have probably heard this, this isn't a business where you can just get rich quick, but you can definitely get rich. Like, this has completely changed my life. Now, I'm not an integrity partner. Okay. But guys, I'm 4 years into this deal, and this is not to, impress you. This is to express to you what's possible. This thing has completely changed my life. I got into this business with barely any money in my account. Fast forward 4 years, Hall of Fame's great, all that's great. But what I've been able to do for my daughter, for my family, the peace of mind, the freedom, now even being able to invest into other businesses and real estate and actually create wealth, guys, that's what it's about, right? And how do you do that? You have to be able to take emotion out of it, because in the beginning, your first year is going to be a freaking emotional roller coaster. And dude, you know this, Hayden, business is tough. You got to handle stuff, right? There's a lot of shit that happens, excuse my language, but how do you manage that? And I think I've gotten really good at that, because I was really bad before. Is when something comes to you, it's not a personal thing, but how do you compartmentalize it to know that, okay, I have to solve this problem, just like we solve problems with clients. How do you solve your business problems? And the better you are at solving your business problems, the better you're going to be able to build long-term a healthy, profitable business. And that's what this is all about.
I love it, man. That was awesome. And Julius, the text you sent us this weekend about what you just did for you and your child is amazing. If you want to share that.
I didn't really want to, but you're putting me on the spot, so I will, though. So I'm blessed and humbled to share that I was actually able to buy a new home for me and my daughter, a new construction. It was a little overwhelming because looking at the dollar of money, but this is my my third property now, Hayden, which is pretty cool, because just a few years ago it was just the one house that I live in, and so it's been just nothing short of amazing.
Amazing, man. Well, we are all proud to be in business with you. We're excited to see what you guys are going to do this year. Hall of Fame agency, as well as Hall of Fame producer, I know is knocking on the door, and we are ready for our best year. So thanks for getting on, Julius. A lot of good notes here. We're going to put this up, and appreciate you. Let's have a great week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.